Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make a craft bag. So this could be used for, well, it could be changed and altered for whatever craft you want, the way you want the pockets to be. I'm actually going to be making this up as I go. I sort of cut the pieces out for what I was thinking what I would want for a knitting bag or a crochet bag. So of course by the end of the video some of these measurements might be altered, but I'll be putting the final measurements of what I used up in the description. Now, what I did was the fabric I used was actually some fabric that you would use for like pillow covers or even outdoor fabric or whatever, but you could use whatever fabric you want. I used this for the outside, and then I used some canvas for the inside liner. And so I've cut out all these pieces for what I tentatively think they're going to be measured out to be. So we're going to be doing the bag. So I have the handles, binding for the top edge. There's going to be outside pockets on each side, and there's going to be a pouch in the side for needles, a hanging pocket, and then there's going to be a pocket for scissors and other accessories. Because I know we always have to have a place for each thing because they always get lost in the bottom of the bag. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to be measuring up about 2.5 inches from the bottom, because the bottom of the bag that'll be flat on the bottom, this part. So we're not going to be putting anything below that measurement. So I know for the inside pockets, we're going to be sewing them in first. We can start with the needle pouch. So what I'm going to do is press in. Actually, I'm going to serge the edges around because this looks like it's a fabric that will fray a lot. So now that I've serged the edges, I press them in. I've sewn the top piece. So I've measured the center of the bag, and I put little lines across in pencil where I want to stitch down for the needles. Now, if you're going to be doing this for a crochet bag or some other craft bag, you can make this shorter for crochet hooks or just leave it open, like one big pocket if you're using it for other crafts or other things. So now that I've got the needle pocket put on, we're going to go on to the other side. And I marked out where we don't want to go below on this side. And this side here, we're going to be putting in a pocket for scissors and a pocket for miscellaneous things. I'm going to press in those corners. I'll be right back. So I pressed the sides in on all sides, sewed up the top, and I centered this pocket here, making sure that I'm a few inches above where we don't want to sew below. And so I put the pocket here up here for the scissors, and this one here we're going to put for miscellaneous things that we need. And I'm going to put a stitch a seam down here, so we have two separate pockets. So now that I've stitched on these pockets and that pocket, we're done with this side. Those are all the inside pockets. Now we want to do the outside pockets. Now what I did was I added some stabilizer to the back. I lightly sprayed it with adhesive, but it doesn't seem to be sticking very well. So I'll just put in a few pins. I'm going to measure up the 2.5 inches like I did with the other one. And we're going to have outside pockets, so I'm going to do the same thing with these as I did with the others. So now that we have all the pockets sewn in, we have one for each side on the outside of the bag, and then the 3 on the inside. So right now we just have to sew up the sides. Pin down the corners, and then I measured up 3 inches, and then I drew a straight line across here, and I'm just going to sew across here. So now I've stitched up the edges, and I've trimmed it and serged the ends. So I cut a 2.5 inch wide strip of the canvas as binding for the edge, and I'm going to use a 2.5 inch, or sorry, a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to start about 3 inches into the length of the strip. So I left an opening here, and what I'm going to do is measure in, see, and sort of like finger press it. So now that I stitched the front side on, I pressed in the back, not quite to the top here, just I left just a little bit, so it's a little longer than the front. And now I'm going to stitch right along this edge. So this is for the straps. These are 3-inch wide strips, and I press them in half, and then I press them in half again. And then for the ends to be finished, I'm just putting them in like that. So now that I've finished sewing the straps, I place them right above, lined up with the pocket on each side, and just pin them. That looks to be a good distance apart for the handles.